Hey, Taco Tuesday fans, this is Christian Brindle.
And I am Glen Shelton.
We came together and combined our forces to create something special for insurance agents called Taco Tuesday. Let's taco about insurance. My company, Christian Brindle Insurance Services,
and my company, Lead Heroes,
is here to bring you the latest and greatest news happening in the insurance industry today and eat some tacos while we do it.
If you enjoy the content that we put out on this podcast, feel free to leave us a review or subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes.
Without further ado, let's get into this episode of Taco Tuesday. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition, guys, of Taco Tuesday. Let's talk about insurance. He's Glen Shelton. I'm Christian Brindle. And we're back. We're talking about tacos. We're talking about things going on in the insurance industry. And he's got a Red Bull, and I'm super jelly right now. I'm peanut butter jealous because I would love one.
It's like candy, but better because it gives you wings, right?
That's what they say. I'd like some wings.
Here's a question while we're on the topic. What's the best Red Bull? This is kind of a heated one. I don't want to ruin our friendship right here. This may be the end, guy. You might witness the end of our friendship right here. I'm drinking my favorite.
The thumbnail is live blow up on the air of Red Bull argument fight.
Lead Heroes choose Red Bull.
What is that one? Is that just the original one?
Let's talk about your favorite first.
I can't even see it. All right, I'll be honest with you. My favorite one is the original one. It is. It's the original one. I always go for the original. I can't even tell. What is it?
Hello.
Oh, sugar-free?
Sugar-free.
Gross. That's awful.
I know.
That is incredibly disappointing. You
know what's funny is
you think you know somebody.
What's that?
I said you think you know somebody.
You think you know so I do what you just did to the people who drink Red Bull Zero. The people who drink Red Bull Zero, I look down on them the same way you just look down on me. And I'm like, get the sugar free. I'm like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, get the sugar free. Like,
oh man. We got a great topic today. We're going to kind of dive into for the audience. Red flags in the industry. What is that you got there? Is that your flag for the day?
This is my flag. It's just a red piece of construction. I'm utilizing it as a prop today, you guys. Red flags in the industry. Red flag. What is a red flag, Christian?
Well, I would best define red flag in the Christian encyclopedia, in the Christianpedia, as something that someone's doing that would be cautionary, right? You might not want to do business with this person. You might not want to get closely linked to this person. You definitely probably don't want to, do Cash App with this person, where you send them a $5,000 deposit, and then they once they do, they're a Nigerian prince that will send you whatever. Cautionary, cringy, I would put in there, something that's just cheesy, cringy, just like, oh, don't do that. That's my definition.
Yep. 100%. Things to be aware of, things to watch out for. If you're a new agent, it might all look the same to you, right? Like if you're new to the industry and you see a couple people doing things differently and you're like, oh, it's just, they're doing it different ways. Some of those ways might be a red flag, unethical, misleading, misrepresentation, steer clear, right? So some of these might be darker red, right? Some of these might be lighter red. to take that metaphor a little further. But yeah, let's jump into it. I guess, do you want me to start with the one that triggered this whole thing?
I would love that. I think that would be fitting.
Okay. So this is how this all started, this whole conversation. I'm on social media and I'm seeing multiple people in the past few weeks. I guess, the deposits from AEP. Your screen's black.
Oh,
I was like, what was that?
Social media.
Oh, Facebook hit you with that. So I've been on Facebook specifically, how to market and sell insurance to seniors. That's my Facebook group. I've been on Facebook recently. I'm friends with obviously a ton of different agents. I'm in a bunch of different insurance agent Facebook groups. I have seen this multiple times in the past week alone, where someone is taking a screenshot of their bank account. They're showing deposits hitting their bank account and they're saying, look at me, look at me. I just got, and I've seen every number imaginable, which is funny. Like I've seen someone brag about like, oh, look, I got 20,000 in the last month. And I've seen like, bigger numbers where it's like, look at these numbers. Like, oh, I made $100,000. Like, and it's like, okay, cool. It might look attractive. It might make you envious even. You might think, man, I would love to make that much money. Maybe if I talk to this person, they could help me make that much money, right? A lot of times that's a recruiting pitch. They're saying, look at this screenshot, look at my bank account. Now, that to me, red flag, you guys, red flag. Christian, why do you think that'd be a red flag?
Well, I think it's just kind of douchey, full transparency, you guys, just to make sure that I'm not a hypocrite on here. I've taken screenshots of deposits before.
Oh my gosh. Don't work with Christian.
I've done it in the past. I did it last year. I did it probably the last time I remember doing it was probably about a year ago to date. It was when the AEP money was starting to roll in January. I think we got like 30 grand or something like that from United Healthcare. And I took a screenshot and posted it.
Hang on, let me clarify though, because there's a difference between validating your production publicly, which I think sometimes you have to do, versus look at my bank account. Please hit me up if you're looking for a job, if you want to upline.
Right.
If it's purely a recruiting pitch versus, hey, here's some legitimate production, you guys, like this is what I do. That's different in my book. It really is. But continue.
Yeah. And I would agree with that. I think, there's some people are trying to do it to validate. I think other people are trying to do it to puff their chests out. I think it definitely, there's context to it for sure that probably will vary. I actually have really stopped putting much information out there about how much revenue we're doing, how much business we're writing, how much commission we're making. I've kind of just stopped because I've noticed it pisses a lot of people off when I have. And truth be told, like when I see other people do it, the first thing that comes to my mind is that I think it's kind of douchey, and it's very braggadocious. It's very Ty Lopez-esque, which we talked about in the last episode.
Yes, we did.
I think, not to say that it doesn't work to some capacity in terms of getting somebody attention. Like Ty Lopez ran his first ad for like 6-7 months of like his cars and like here in my garage. I do a really good Ty Lopez, guys. But I think, and I think what Glenn said makes a lot of sense. I think, it's like inbox me for details on how to do this, that kind of thing. Like it's almost always going to be like a scam or someone's just trying to just absolutely like screw you in some capacity. I think it'd be completely a red flag and you want to run the other way. People validating their production. I mean, I think that it can be good, if someone's like challenging your production. or like challenging your credibility. Like I had people before, I talked to people in the industry and they'd be like, this guy's been watching a lot of your YouTube videos and he keeps questioning me about you. Like, who is this Christian Brindle guy? Does he even write any business? Like, there's people out there that say those kind of things about me. And like, and over time, I just start to care less or less. I like at the beginning of the Facebook group and the YouTube channel, I really did care a lot what people said. I felt like I had to respond to every little thing. I don't feel that way anymore. I don't really care what people think anymore. Like I know what we're doing. I know that we're a very, very good agency. We're top 1% agency. I think it's fair to say.
Yeah.
And I don't need to reach down and validate myself to people that are beneath us, and not to say that people are beneath me or anything like that, but just, you get what I'm saying? Like, we don't need to argue with every single person. And so I think, I don't know, the thing that goes through my head is like, because I've been there, I've been in those shoes where you feel like you have to validate yourself to somebody. I will sometimes see people do that and I'm like, oh, they're trying to prove something to someone. They got a chip on their shoulder. They're self-conscious about this a little bit.
Right.
Because that's why I would do it. And so I just try to put myself in their shoes. And I mean, I don't know. I just don't think it's a good look.
Yeah. So to kind of add to that, the biggest issue I have is you have people who have 1099 agents. Okay. So imagine if Christian had 100 1099 agents. If you're a 1099 agent and you've assigned your commissions to your upline, okay, you're an LOA agent, okay, maybe Christian's supplying marketing, maybe he's supplying technology, maybe he's giving you an office, whatever the deal is. That's how those deals work, right? Is you're telling your upline, okay, you can earn the insurance commissions and then pay me or give me the benefits that make this business agreement work, right? So the problem becomes when you're looking at the bank account, assuming that it's all valid, that it's a real bank account. It's not even it could just be a photoshopped image entirely, right? But assuming it's a valid bank account, you could be looking at $100,000 where 90,000 of it is actually going straight out the door to the insurance agent, the downline, because it was their production. And it's really a misrepresentation at that point, because when I see those numbers inflated massively, where people are talking about millions of dollars in production, or maybe they're trying to pretend it's them or their agency, but then the reality is most of it's not their money anyway. So it's a smoke and mirrors tactic. It's a lack of transparency with that. That's where I get upset. And especially when you know that there's new agents out there who are going to see that post and say, oh my gosh, take all my contracts and let's do this. I'm ready. And maybe if they had known the truth about how that screenshot came to be, maybe they wouldn't have contracted with it. You know?
I mean, and it's not exactly the same thing, but there's an agent that comes to mind that I will not name, that we both know, that is on leaderboards for certain carriers under their own name, and they probably haven't written a policy themselves in years.
Oh, I know who that is.
It's people in their office that write everything in their individual writing number, which is not compliant for one. Right. But they seem to get away with it. And, so, and I'll talk to people in the industry. They're like, well, this person's number one. I'm like, their team of 25 people is number one. And I'm like, and if an eHealth, let's say, was writing all in the principal's individual name, they would blow them out of the water, but they don't do that. Right. Like, and so it's very much like you said, it's a smoke and mirrors kind of thing. It doesn't mean that they're not what they're doing isn't impressive to some degree, but it's far from the actual truth of what's actually going on.
It's just it's misrepresentation. It really is. And there's a degree to it. It could be a small misrepresentation, could be a huge one. Anyways, that's what started this whole conversation. So Christian, do you have another red flag similar to that?
Oh, definitely.
People should keep an eye out for.
All right. So I think a red flag would be when there are people that put information out there and they try to put themselves up on a pedestal, but they themselves have never actually built a book of business. And there's people out there that will actually just come out and admit this. There are people that I come to mind when I say that. That's not going to fly, right? They came into the business as a recruiter. Maybe they have some background working for a couple carriers. Like they might have some inside know-how. They might know some policies or things like that, but they've never actually made a sale under their name before. They've never actually built a clientele and managed a clientele from the ground up before, but they're trying to teach you how to do that. They're trying to teach you how to be a top producer. That drives me absolutely loco.
Huge red flag, dude. This is this is like, oh my gosh, because, and this is where like there's organizations in the insurance industry that are built on the principle that he just talked about. They don't even care if you sell insurance. It's go recruit your friends and family. Go recruit your friends and family. It's an MLM. It really is an MLM structure where they don't care if you sell. They don't care if you know how to sell. They'll give you some contracts. They'll give you some paper applications. Maybe they're making sure you're licensed and that's it. And then you're going out, you're getting your friends and family to sell, and it's the blind leading the lame. It makes the whole industry worse. You're definitely not getting the best deal you could, even if you are a brand new agent. There's so many organizations that fit that bill. Ugh, I feel queasy inside. It's not the Red Bull, you guys. It's the red flags I'm seeing you're missing. Jeez.
I think the MLM conversation, I think, is something we should have on its own 2 feet, because I do want to get into that. I don't want to let that go, because I think that's a huge part of this. What I'm talking about is probably more so people that aren't really with MLM companies, but like they come in and their business model is to recruit, which is fine. There's plenty of FMOs out there that they recruit and they don't personally produce. And that's okay. But what I have a problem with is certain ones that kind of stand on a soapbox and proclaim themselves a guru, and I'm going to show you the way. And it's just not, I mean, you're basically learning from somebody that's never actually sold anything. Like, I think if someone's going to contract direct to an FMO and they're going to be assigned a marketer, and let's say that particular market, and some marketers used to be agents and they have experience and things like that, but there's also a lot of them that all they've ever done is recruit agents and send out contracts. So I think if you're going to be direct to an FMO and you have a marketer, you should be at a place in your business where you figured out the sales game, right? You know what to do. What you need their help with is negotiating co-op money, negotiating higher contracts, those kind of things. It's just the people that proclaim themselves as like an expert or guru, or, they just make me absolutely sick, because
here's a question. So how long does someone have to sell insurance before you think they're qualified to recruit or to bring someone else into the industry? What do you think? A year?
I think I go by, I've talked about this several times on the show.
Okay.
There's a book I really like called Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. And it talks about...
Never read a book, so I don't know why you're pretending you read a book. But okay, continue.
The audiobook doesn't count.
The audiobook I listened to. I don't know how to read.
The book might have fallen open and I accidentally glanced at it.
I tripped head first. The book opened. I don't know.
But that book specifically it's a book that analyzes high performers in sports and business and things like that, and talks about what differentiates them from other people. And like in some aspects, it's like physical advantages, right? Like in sports, they analyze that people born in a certain month, that's like a few months before other people, they're the oldest people in their class. So they're the biggest, strongest kids in the class a lot of times, you know what I mean? Like there's just like little physical advantages in sports and stuff like that might be a luck factor. But one thing they talk about that sets everybody apart is they say to truly be an expert in anything, you have to do it for 10,000 hours first. And so I lean on the 10,000 hour rule.
Is that 3 years? I feel like I've done the math on that before on this show.
Probably
10,000.
Let's figure it out.
10,000. 3,000 a year, 3,333 a year divided by 52, 64. It's actually like 3.5 years.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that book is one of my favorite books that I've read. And I think, that book in particular, I think that's a really good point, because I don't think you can be an expert in anything without putting in the work and the reps at doing it for a while yourself. I think, and that there's other people in the industry, they sold insurance 6 months, 9 months, 10 months, and then they stop, and then all of a sudden they're a guru. Same kind of principle a little bit. I think that your mentor should have a lot of reps under their belt. I think they should have done it for a long time and done it very successfully for a long time. Those are the people I think that have the most wisdom to share.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of my rule of thumb. And I don't discourage anybody from recruiting or anything like that, but like, I think it's a disservice to brand new agents because they really need somebody that knows what they're doing. And there's a lot of people running around that are just, they're good actors.
There's a lot of actors. That's a really great term. I think so. And I did the math like 10 times. Clearly my brain's not working today, but 10,000 hours divided by 40 hours, we'll call that a working week, is 250 weeks divided by 52 weeks in a year. It's actually close to 5. It's 4.8. It's close to 5 years to get to 10,000. Now, if you're working 80 hours a week, like some of us do, you can cut that time in half. You can do it in 2.5 years, it turns out.
Yeah.
But I think it's not, I don't know if that's something you can assign a number to. I think it's more about who the person was. Maybe they were an extremely experienced salesperson coming into the insurance industry, and they were able to pick it up faster than maybe others. And maybe they can train a team after a year and a half,
Yeah.
So I think it depends. But the point is like someone brand new, you do not want your mentor being someone who doesn't even know how to, that's insanity. I think we can all agree on that. Here's I have a red flag. Do you have anything else you want to add to that?
No, I think, like you mentioned the MLM stuff, and I think I won't be long-winded on that, but I think the MLM stuff is just, it's a house of cards business model. It's recruit your friends, your family, your neighbors, bring more agents into the business. And there's never any emphasis placed on selling. And that's just a losing proposition for agents. So I completely agree with that.
Yeah, 100%. My next red flag. This one, Joanna, friend of the show, shout out to Joanna Wyckoff over at Nation Care Services. But this is something she's talked on the show with us about. I've talked on the show about quite a bit. It's free leads. Free leads. Now, if you come to me at Lead Heroes and you say, Glenn, I need leads, I'm going to charge you a fair amount of money. It's not easy. It's not cheap. You're going to have to pay for the leads, guys. I've gotten yelled at before on my lead prices, and I'm just like, do you know, you go market yourself. I don't care. If I'm too expensive, I don't know, that conversation drives me nuts. But the point is you come to a lead company like me at Lead Heroes, you're like, oh my gosh, I have to spend $500 just to get almost, my first lead order going, which again, direct mail, that's 1,000 pieces. And that's the other thing that blows my mind. I'm like, 1,000 pieces of direct mail is about $500. If you just go do, so if starting orders are about $500 at Lead Heroes, what have you ever bought leads before? But anyways, we're going to set that one to the side. Free leads. So you'll get these organizations that say, hey, leads are expensive. Come work here. We'll give you free leads. Christian, what do you think? White flag, green flag, yellow flag, red flag, free leads, but
flaming hot red flag.
It is on fire. Yeah. I need to get a match. We're going to just burn this whole thing right now.
That is what free leads is. And I couldn't agree more with what Joanna says about it and what you just said. I mean, because a lot of times what you'll find, you've seen it and I've seen it, is the leads that they're giving you, they're 5-year-old direct mail leads. Half the people are dead, like they're 2-3-year-old Facebook leads that, they probably paid $1 for, or they paid 50 cents for at the Age Lead store or something like that. Now, to be fair, I'm not against people working on older leads as fillers. I think when you're on a budget as an agent, I don't think that's such a bad idea. And I've had agents that work for us work them but we also give them fresh leads when they work for us too.
This comes back to the misrepresentation, because I, as an insurance agent, have bought what I was told was fresh leads when I know for a fact they weren't. That's actually why I started my company, is because I had an agency say, here's some A leads. Yo, A leads, you got to pay $20 a lead or whatever it was. And I got those A leads, and I found out another agent in the office had already called all the leads that I just money for. So free leads, you don't know if they're old. You don't know if they were ever good leads to begin with. You don't know if they've been shared a million times. The whole idea of free leads, in theory, it sounds good to a new agent, but the reality is it's this big, fat, juicy worm on a hook. And as soon as they get you, they get all your contracts. They get your friends and family that you just recruited to sell because they're trying to, it's that MLM model. And then you're out. It's
flopping around on the surface, gasping for air.
The tragedy. I feel like I've seen so many agents get burned by the free lead model.
Yeah, me too. Like I know, it's a conversation that I have all the time because of course, when we do this show, I don't really pitch you guys. Like me and Glenn don't really pitch you guys anything. We're just trying to bring you guys really good insight and information. But my agency recruits a lot of agents all over the country, and that's not a pitch. It's just context. And so, but like
Christian Brindle Insurance Services is a nationwide Medicare insurance provider. This is not a pitch. Please, for contracting,
please dial 1-800. No, but no, like I'll be on a call. It seems like it's every week. It might be every other week, at least once, with an agent that is newer to the business and they're shopping around what their options are, which, no shame in that. They probably should be doing so, but they've talked with another agency. A lot of times it's an insurance. And and they'll be like, well, this place is offering me free leads, live transfers, they're off. And like, what do you guys do for leads? I'm like, we do, and we do have a lead program. But it's based on production. You get rewarded once you produce first. We don't just give you leads because you're a nice guy or gal, we don't do that. But we do have a lead program for our producing agents. But when they ask me that, it's such a turnoff for me. And it just makes me, not want to bring this person into our organization or partner with us, because I think I look at it like there's an entitlement factor with that they have. They're wanting to essentially have us make the override we do, which is nothing compared to what the agent makes, right? In terms of the commission, and we're paying for all their marketing and they're paying for nothing. How is that a winning proposition for any credible agency? It's not, right? There's got to be something that they're getting in addition to that to make that worth it for them. They're giving you cheap leads. They're paying like $1 or $2 per lead and telling you they paid $20, $30. How can you prove it? They're year-old leads. And truth be told, they own all your business. So once you figure that out in 6 months, you brought 100 policies into the agency, you've made them 100 policies richer, and you'll be escorted out and goodbye.
I'm a huge fan of the co-op model. Christian just talked about it. It's what he does. It's what other IMOs, FMOs agencies do, because it is this problem. You have this barrier of entry where you have to spend money on marketing. That's how you sell insurance. That's how, most businesses have to have money spent on marketing, especially in the early stages. A lot of times you'll spend a lot of money on marketing when you're first getting started. So it's this barrier. But like Christian said, the best, really, in my opinion, I've seen all sorts of agreements and handshake deals and all sorts of ways that the lead cost has been distributed, lower contracts, higher contracts, price per lead, co-op money. I mean, I've seen it all. I really feel like I've seen it all, CPA deal. I mean, just you name it. But I think the co-op money where it's equally shared among parties, whether that's IMO and agency or agency and agent, that's the model that seems to have the most success. You want everyone to have skin in the game. If they have skin in the game, they're going to treat it seriously. They're going to treat it like it's their money because it is their money. Mm-hmm. But they're getting help because it is an expense and it is a barrier of entry. So absolutely 100%. That's the green flag to look for. That's the flag you want to see and you want to run towards. Free leads is the red flag. That's the one that's like, stay away.
Another thing that is important to mention about the free leads topic is not only is everything that Glenn just said 100% spot on, but it also puts you in a position where you are 100% reliant on that agency. Like you can't eat, you can't make sales, you can't be productive without them. And it's almost like, daddy feed me. I can't feed myself.
It's
kind of
Stockholm syndrome. You've been kidnapped. You've been kidnapped. That's how it was for me though. What you just like when I kept me in a box, it was like, you're coming into the office. These are the leads you're working. This is how much you're getting paid per policy. This is the area you're working. Like I was being told exactly how it was supposed to do. There was no like, go find a lead vendor. We'll do a shared cost. Like, oh my gosh. I wish I'd been given that opportunity, but yeah, they just set you up to fail in a lot of ways when they keep you on those free lead programs.
Yeah, 100%. I think there's so much wrong with it. And I think, it's not, I mean, and there's so many people that think short term. They're thinking about the next 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 2 months. They're not thinking about the next year or 2 or 3 or 5.
Okay, devil's advocate though, is there exceptions to that rule? Is there exceptions to the free leads rule?
I think there's only one.
Okay.
and we'll see if you agree with me on this. You might differ in opinion, which is fine. It's not fine. No, I'm just kidding.
But I'm worried there's going to be people out there that are successful with free leads that are going to want to kill us from what we just said. That's why I'm asking you.
I've never talked to an agent that says I get free leads from my agency and they're independent and they own their business. Never. And they're happy about it. And I've never met that agent before. Through all my travels, through all conferences I've gone to, all the network of agents that I do have, as well as you, I've never ran into that. So if you are out there,
comment below the video.
Let me know.
We want to hear from you.
I do believe though, if it's upfront that you're going to be LOA or captive, and you're comfortable with that and you're getting what you feel like you want, right? Not everybody's an entrepreneurial type, right? We've talked about this on the show and, we've had Bobby Beisch come on and talk about it, and like I used to feel completely opposite about this and I've changed my feeling. I think some people should be a captive agent or an LOA agent to where they work for an entrepreneurial type that owns the business. But they don't have, they can just clock in and go and clock out and go home. They don't have to take their work home with them. They don't have to stress as much. They can just sell. Leads are provided for them. They don't get the full commission, but that's fine. I know plenty of LOA agents that make $200,000 a year, $300,000 a year because they're partnered with great organizations that kind of set them up in a model of success. That's perfectly fine if that's what you want. But if you're independent and an FMO is trying to lure you in with the promise of free leads, that just, I've never seen it. It's always a captive role or an LOA role, and they're trying to throw the sheet over the top of it and hide what that is. I think if it's transparent and you understand and you're comfortable with it, I think it's okay for some people.
I think as a lifeline for brand new agents, I think there's times where it's worked, where an agent has no money, they just got their license, and they really just need free leads to get started, to build their cash flow. But it can't be a long-term thing, because I think any long-term free leads scenario always ends in failure. I really do think that's the case. So that's my 2 cents.
I would agree with that. Yeah, I think that's true. I mean, I know when I first started recruiting agents, I didn't know what I was supposed to do as an agency owner. This was probably a little bit over 2 years ago, maybe 2.5 years ago now. And essentially, I brought on this, I had about 5 agents to start off with, and I was buying them fresh direct mail drops every couple of weeks to every month.
Wow.
And
it's expensive.
I can tell you guys, I was probably spending 10 times more than I was making.
Right.
And if I kept doing it, we would have probably gone bankrupt eventually. It's just not, we could never sustain that ever. And what I saw in the agents is it bred entitlement, it bred selfishness, it bred a sense of like spoiledness in them. I don't think it's good for the agent either. I think it's better for you to learn how to bring in clients yourself, because it's the classic saying, right? You teach a man.
That's a great
one. You teach him to fish, he'll eat forever, kind of thing. That's what you guys should be focused on. If you're
great analogy.
If you're focused on trying to get free leads, you have the wrong
McDonald's
mentality.
It's McDonald's, bro. Free leads is McDonald's. Is that what you want every day? You want to go eat McDonald's every day? Tell me how you're feeling in 3 months. I mean, if you're alive in 3 months, do you see what we're saying, guys?
But that just makes me think of the funniest story I've ever heard in my whole life, and I don't think it's appropriate to share on this show.
That's an off-air story.
All right, off-air story. But it's one that it's a Gene Simmons story I heard that a comedian told, and it was so funny. But I'll tell you off-air. It was really good. But
what is another? I'd like to get at least one more red flag in here before we have to get off. What's another red flag that you can think of? That agents, new agents, old agents, could be contracting, marketing, it could be branding, it could be, I think with marketing companies, and if it's a marketing company that wants you to get into a model or a contract with them where you're paying them an ad spend amount for months on end, a year potentially, and if they can't even produce you a single person that's happy with their service. That's really valid. So this wasn't a marketing company I was speaking with a technology company yesterday. And I think they were a very reputable company, but they demanded a 1-year contract. There was no other option but one. And that was my exact, when I was on the phone yesterday with that company, I was like, I'm like, you want me to sign up for a service that I've never used, that's insanely expensive, and the only option is a 1-year contract? I'm like, no, there's no way. I'd have to try it out. This service might not perform how I think it's going to perform.
Right. Right. And I think long-term commitments right up front like that are kind of scary. And there's got to be a reason why they want to lock you in. It's got to be because they've probably dealt with so many people that have just been unhappy with their service and left, that they're not confident in their service, so they want to hook you, right? I even saw a situation that happened last year where a marketing company was talking to an agent in my downline. And, he asked if they could give any, success stories with one of their customers, and they got another person that worked for the agency and put him on the phone and said it was a customer, which is fraud.
Exactly.
Some of you guys might know what I'm talking about, but like that that was one of the agents that partnered with us, that happened to. And
that's like fraud.
Like,
is that fraud? I had no idea. No, it's fraud.
But
it's fraud.
but no, like, I think the marketing companies, there's so many popping up all the time. They're brand new. You got to be really careful because there's so many that out there that they're trying to feed mouths, right? They're trying to scale too fast, and there's no customer service focus on it. They're just trying to get new clients at drive revenue, feed the mouths of the employees that they do have, and it's just it once you're in with them. You might, and there's a lot of companies that work like this. I'm not picking on one or two people, but like, it's something that, you got to be careful of with marketing companies. And I think you got to be very careful.
So I have a couple more red flags that I want to quickly get in here because I thought of them while we were brainstorming that last one. I'm going to talk about a marketing company one that blows my mind. And then the one that I want you to talk about is upfront releases, because
that's a good
I
one.
just heard this is a story that I will have to talk to you privately. I can't share. I don't feel comfortable sharing names, but I got a message in the last week from an agent, and they mentioned a major, like a social media active major upline that we both know, that most people know, that says they'll give you an upfront release, but refuses to put it in writing. Okay. And maybe, okay, so sit on, that's yours. That's your topic. The marketing one. So this one blows my mind. And the first time I heard it, I was like, wow, that agent's really dumb. And then, and then I heard it over and over and over, and I'm like, what is going on? It's there might be multiple of these marketing companies. There's at least one marketing company that exists. There's a website, and you only can pay with cash. You either have to literally mail cash or mail a check to them. Here's the crazy part. They never deliver on anything that they say they're going to. And the agent always says, I sent them cash. Like, there's no repercussions. Like, they can't go to their bank. They can't go to the credit card company. Like, and that just blows my mind. I'm like, you just sent someone cash. Like, you never done business with them. You just sent cash in the mail. I'm like, talk about a red flag. Like, if they don't take credit cards, that's probably a red flag, right?
Yeah,
like,
that's weird.
Cow.
That is weird.
All right.
Yeah, upfront releases. That's a great one, actually. I don't in writing. I can't believe I didn't think of that ahead of time. Yeah, I think any reputable FMO or IMO has an open release policy that they can show you. I think any reputable FMO or IMO, if you ask for it, should be able to give you in writing a statement that they will agree to release you upon asking, as long as you don't have chargebacks or roll-up debt or some legitimate reason to not release you, right? There are a couple of reasons why, an agent might not deserve to be released. But so I think it goes both ways, but I think any FMO that's not willing to give that to you, that's a huge red flag. Because who in 2022 doesn't release contracts? You end up on the Facebook groups like that, and you'll just get like smeared, and 100%. Word spreads fast.
100%.
I just think, and the other thing, is getting paid directly from the carrier. You might get the full commission of a street level agent, but if you don't get it directly from the carrier, in 9 out of 10 situations, there are a couple of carriers that just don't pay out direct because they're small companies. They don't have the infrastructure to pay out directly to the agent, right? That there's a few weird situations like that, but like, I don't want to say their name, but I have to. Okay. Humana. And I'm not saying anything bad about Humana. That's why I'm talking about them. There is a giant IMO out there that has, subsidiaries of theirs that are other FMOs and things like that are owned by this FMO, that if you have your Humana contract with them, you are captive. They pay you out everything, but the commissions all flood through the FMO. You never get paid direct from Humana. I talk to agents all the time that will talk to me and they'll be like, you get paid directly from Humana. I'll send them like screenshots of my bank account deposit.
This guy.
But I'll just to show them that Humana's the one paying me, not my FMO on my renewals.
Right.
And that's a big problem, because if you ever grow a big agency, I mean, it's tough to sell your agency on the back of those renewals.
It's essentially impossible, is it not?
Yeah, because you don't own the business at that point.
Yeah.
The FMO can do whatever they want with it. They might still pay you the renewals, but they might not. They might. You just don't know what's going to happen. They have all the control. I think open release policies is a big deal. And you want to ask also when FMOs have their own personal blackout periods. The carriers have blackout periods 10-1 every year. You can't get a release from 10-1 to the end of the year because of AEP. Carriers don't want to deal with releases. But I've seen FMOs that will actually stop releasing agents in July. And that's their own personal policy. So they have an open release policy, but in the fine print, it says before July.
Right.
Others, that are really big that I've seen, they go into their own personal blackout period September 1st. That's crap.
Yeah.
I mean, you should at least know that going in.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, that's my little 2 cents about that. But yeah, releases are a big deal, guys. It can take you, I mean, I'll give you an example. With United Healthcare, it takes 6 months to move without a release. And if you don't get the release in before the end of February, actually, no, not the end of February, the end of March, then you're basically stuck for the whole year.
Because you're in the blackout.
Because then you fall into blackout and you wouldn't move until January of the next year. So it could almost take you a whole year to move almost.
That's a lot of time and money and resources lost as the agent. There are other carriers, right? So if you get into a situation, you were naive. I think most agents have. I know I was in that situation at one point. You can always just let that carrier sit and recontract 6-12 months down the road, whatever the deal is, and sell another carrier until then. But yeah, and to clarify here, I do want to be clear. Like, I don't think the IMO, I don't think they have to like provide it to you without asking. I don't think an IMO has to be like, hey, look, here's an upfront release in writing. But it should be very standard. If you're contracting and you're like, hey, I just want to make sure, I'm like, you're going to give me an upfront release in writing, right? Like that if I need to move or I want to move, it's not even a problem. And they should be like, oh yeah, here it is, Right. And it should be like, cool. And like, it really shouldn't even be like a topic of discussion.
Right.
So if it is an issue, like at any degree, I mean, again, kind of to finish up the episode here, red flag, be careful out there.
Yep. I love this topic. I think it was great. And hey guys, just be careful out there. There's a lot of red flags out there.
Stay safe out there.
Be safe out there. Practice safe contracting.
Oh my. I'm going to die on air. Oh my gosh.
We killed Glenn.
Safe contracting.
Practice safe contracting. I'm going to come out with a t-shirt that says that.
We practice safe contracting at Christian Brindle Insurance. That's amazing.
Oh
my God.
Guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did and you're watching on YouTube, do us a favor, drop a like on the video. It helps so much with the YouTube algorithm. You don't even have to smash the like button. You can just gently just give it a little tap. Just ding,
I think
that will do it.
I think your screen wants it a little more gentle. I don't think you don't have to
doesn't like to get just beat down.
Part of safe contracting.
Make sure to hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed, and also hit the notification bell if you'd like to be notified when we upload new videos. We upload new content all the time, especially episodes of Taco Tuesday. And if you're listening on the podcast platforms and the platform allows you to do so, give us a 5-star review, mention something you like about the show. We would appreciate it. And We'll see you next week, guys. Here's to
Till
your
next
success
Tuesday.
and your abundance.